Well, what are you doing here?
Hi, Charles. I wanted to ask you a question about your days at Santa Cruz. You coached the program there for 16 years, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Yep. And I was wondering about how, sort of the difference between coaching and teaching. I'm aware that you coached teams that were competitive, and I think for a little while they were in the NCAA, is that right?
Mm.
Yep. But you also taught a lot of classes and had a reputation for teaching recreational fencing as well. And then I think you also taught art, and you're a teacher as well as a coach.
Right. That's mainly my identification is as a teacher.
Yeah, so I thought it might be of some interest to our viewers for you to discuss the difference between coaching and teaching. And one of the reasons why is there's a lot of interest in our website from fencing teachers around the country that want to learn how to teach fencing. And so since that's a big part of our audience and people who buy the DVDs, especially like the DVD, The Learning Process, that it might be nice if you talked a bit about the difference between coaching and teaching.
Yeah, I'd love to. That's a really good subject. Good,
okay, great.
Good,
thank you. Back to the camera.
Very good question. The difference between coaching and teaching. Very few people that I've run into teaching anywhere really understand the difference between coaching and teaching. And in fencing, it makes all the difference in the world to have that understanding. So let me start with teaching. If you're teaching, you have people who come to you who normally don't know anything about fencing, and they want to learn how to fence, so they go to a teacher who is you, and you proceed to teach them. And day after day and week after week and year after year, you're teaching them, giving them new insights into what they're doing, and new thought considerations relative to tactics and strategy. And in other words, trying to bring them to a point where they have a pretty good game, you know. Just like learning tennis. You have to get a teacher who's willing to work with you, and then if you train and work hard enough, long enough, you'll end up with a pretty good game. It's just identical process. The learning process is the same wherever you find it. So the teacher is concerned with the learning process. Now let me switch for a moment to coaching. A coach is not interested in teaching. The coach is interested in taking people who have already been taught and showing them how to get a lot better from a competitive point of view. The coach will arrange a training schedule so that he'll take you wherever you are in your game and make it a lot better. The coach will show you how to arrive at real physical conditioning. So you're working at top form when you go into competition. The coach can't spend time teaching people how to fence in order to get to them to a point where you can coach them. See, now the other thing that coach does, which is the main thing the coach does, the coach makes sure that you get to the tournament on time, that you're registered properly, that you're registered as a team and as a school and a league. A coach's job is really at least 50% management. To get the teams together, to get the individuals together, to get you on the bus and to the tournament site, wherever that happens to be, or maybe on an airplane to fly you to a tournament site. The coach has all of that kind of responsibility, where a teacher doesn't go near that. The teacher is strictly working within the room, within the fencing cell, showing you the next move you have to learn in order to progress. Most fencing teachers have to coach and teach together because there's simply budget considerations in the program where they can't afford a coach in fencing and a teacher in fencing, so they hire one person who'll do both. And the result is not very satisfactory, really. Coaches normally are really terrible teachers. They're not. Coaching isn't temperamentally a thing that's suited for teaching. And teachers normally make really bad coaches. They're just too empathetic to their students. A teacher has to relate to people on a much more empathetic basis than a coach does. So I hope this isn't totally confusing you. But if you decide to teach fencing, you'll soon find out what the difference is, because the demands come automatically from the fencers. A fencer will come to you as a beginner, then I'll wind this up, as a beginner, and your job is to bring them to a point where they can fence pretty well. And if they can fence pretty well, they just might want to try competitive fencing. They just might want to get on a team someplace and go out, or go out individually. There's individual national championships and team national championships. So whatever your motivation is relative to competition, you start by learning from a teacher, and you'll end by being managed by a coach. That's what it boils down to. If you decide to go into competitive interaction, you'll end up in the hands of a coach, not in the hands of another teacher necessarily. Now, I know of people who actually do both. They go to school and learn how to do this stuff, and then they go out and compete and offer themselves to be managed by a coach. So on that basis, if you decide you want to teach, be very clear that you don't have to coach people, and if you're coaching, be very clear you don't have to teach people. And that's about it.